Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox show. And I am Xavier Fox. On Monday mornings, Thursday, and Friday afternoons, we're going to continue this journey. Be ready to laugh and open to learn. Learn other viewpoints on relationships, information on health and fitness, investing, sex, and much more. Today, naturopath and holistic health practitioner Eric Prince, he is here to discuss the process of reversing heart disease. Yes, you can. And then our Chocolate City correspondent, Nicole Williams, is going to fill us in on what's hot. If you want to participate on the show today, feel free to Zoom in. You can use the link, which you can find on my Facebook page, Xavier Fox, or join the public Facebook group, Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox, where you can get all the info and interact with the personalities on the show. You can go to xavierfox.com/radio-show for the schedule of the month of January to see when your favorite personality or topic is scheduled. So let's get to it. How you doing today, Eric?
I mean, I'm doing great. Now that I finally got through to you, I was feeling terrible because I knew our show should have started a long time ago, but we're here now. So let's give them the information that they've been waiting on.
Yep, go ahead and get right on into it. Reversing heart disease.
Well, what I want to start off by saying is that in all the years of I don't want to really call it a practice because, a lot of medical doctors call their, profession a practice. And I'm not practicing on people. There are things that when you go holistic, and what you're doing is you're observing facts. And after years of doing scanning or using biofeedback technology, what I've discovered is something very heartbreaking. And believe it or not, that's pun intended, heartbreaking. Because what I discovered is that the diet that we all grew up on, which was pretty much filled with, animal protein, beef, chicken, pork, turkey, all the stuff that we eat at cookouts, at dinners, big events, weddings, whatever the event was, it was always the same substance at that wedding. And we enjoyed it. We had no idea what the future consequences would be of this particular substance. But even though we watched our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, uncles, we watched them develop a certain condition called arterial sclerosis, which sclerosis means hardening. And then when you use the word arterial, it's talking about your arteries. So what it is it's hardening of the arteries. And the arteries are the vessels that sends blood to the body, to the tissue, to the organs, and veins are the vessels that carry the blood away. So there's a system. Your body has a system. It's a cool system. And thank God that system is not run by your conscious mind. It's actually run by your subconscious mind. And so when that system gets impeded, or if there's some type of obstacle, it starts to affect how the blood flows. And one of the things with cardiovascular disease is that when the plaque starts to build up in the bloodstream, it begins to close off that pathway through which the blood flows. And so that is something that actually happens over the course of time. It's not something that happens immediately. What I've seen is heart disease can begin as early as in your teens. Believe it or not, I just scanned, I think he was 12 years old. Wow. 12-year-old boy. And he had a nice scan, but he was already showing signs of plaque buildup in his heart. And this was heartbreaking because, this is a young kid and he understood what he was seeing. We didn't expect that we would see, the beginning of heart disease in such a young kid. But then, Xavier, we looked at his background. We looked at what was going on in the family between the mother and the father. We was observing everything, because it's not just about what the kid is eating, because obviously this was a lean kid, looked athletic, and you would never have guessed that he was starting to develop heart disease. Well, it's not always what you're eating that makes you sick or ill. Sometimes it's what's eating at you.
Right.
And as right as children, the things that are going on with our parents, or especially our parents, mother and father, if they're not together and then there's conflict between them, that affects the child. And despite how the child is eating, the child's heart is being affected by the drama between the two parents. And so that's one cause of it. Of course, the other cause does have to do with substance, which is the animal protein. But if you combine them both, animal protein and the drama, then yeah, you're going to probably manifest arterial sclerosis much faster than the average person. And what we're seeing today is that these kids are dealing with what we used to call age-related diseases.
Wow.
Now these diseases are called lifestyle related because they're not getting them at 50, 60, or 70 years of age. Now there are kids in their teens that are developing diabetes, heart disease, and, cancer, of course. And so now we have to take a look at what's really going on in society, in our food, in our life, that's causing us to manifest these conditions that used to be age related, but yet we're now manifesting them at a younger age. And this is why they say that this is probably the first generation of children that may not outlive their parents.
Oh, that would be really sad. I thought they were saying that people were living longer.
Well, some people are, but unfortunately, there's going to be a large part of the population that's going to actually, pass out. And I'm saying that in a nice way because there's a shift that has to be made. And that's one of the things that I'm working on now with the large organization, which is, where a lot of my time has been spent, is just helping to reestablish new habits. Because our old habit, based upon all the scans that I've did, all the people that I've cleansed, has shown me that everyone on this diet, which is the same diet we all grew up on, animal protein, everyone, not some people, but everyone that's eating meat is moving towards heart disease. Everyone that's eating meat is moving towards heart disease. Some people are moving faster than others. Some people are moving slow, but nonetheless, it's inevitable because what's happening is as we consume animal protein, the fact still stands. And I'm just the messenger of this. I'm not the maker. I'm the messenger. Is that human beings were not designed to consume animal flesh, especially for a long period of time. It was a temporary condition after the great flood in scripture. But even then, Moses went back, not Moses, I'm sorry, getting my prophets, Noah. Noah went back to his original diet. And guess what? He outlived his sons.
So in this meat, does this include fish?
Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. Believe it or not, fish is not the culprit to arterial sclerosis. Fish is not the culprit. And let me explain why. Fish are cold-blooded creatures. Cold-blooded creatures. This means that their body temperature is lower than human body temperature. So when we eat fish, because our body temperature is higher, we can break down their proteins properly and we can break down their oils. Now, let's jump over to the beef, pork, turkey, chicken. All of those animals are considered warm-blooded creatures. Warm-blooded. But here's the problem, Xavier, is that their body temperature is higher than human beings. You see, if their body temperature is higher, then when we consume their proteins, their meats, their flesh, their muscle, whatever you want to call it, we have a problem because of our body temperature breaking down their oils, breaking down their protein.
Let me ask you a question, because you and I actually had this discussion before, and you told me this, and I shared it with someone else who are considered to be, relatively intelligent anyway.
Mhm.
I know that person is listening to the show, so I know they're laughing right now. Anyway, so they said, how is that? Because we cook it first. So doesn't the heat from actually cooking it break down the protein so that our bodies could digest it?
Right, right. Well, that's an imaginary story that somebody made up, because that's not the case. And I'm telling you it's not the case because I see and know for a fact that even if they're cooking it, and obviously there aren't many people that are not cooking it, you got to think about it. Who up until now has not cooked their meat and been eating it? Most people are cooking their meat. So if everyone is cooking their meat, and heart disease is still the number one cause of death in America, what does that tell you?
I guess cooking the meat doesn't make a difference.
Exactly. That's all I'm trying to say. We just got to bring a little common sense back into this, because we were born into a system. When you're born into a place, then that's your frame of reference. You can't really see what's going on around, just like trying to explain water to a fish. The fish don't understand that the fish is in water. You can't explain it because it's a part of the fish's whole reality. But if that fish, like let's say it's a mermaid, she comes up out of the water, her fins turn to legs. She looked back at the water and she realizes, wow, now she understands the difference between where she was and where she is now. Until a person comes out of that system, out of that world, out of that whole industry, they can't see how irrational and unreasonable and dangerous it is. And so meat in and of itself, if you look at the stats, the fact that heart disease is number one cause and has been there for a long time, then that means that we are a country of herbivores, which consume plants, get their protein from plants. That's what herbivores are. Herbivores, we're a country of herbivores that are eating like carnivores or even omnivores. So an omnivore is a species that eat both plants and animals. So people say, well, I'm not a carnivore because I don't have long, sharp fangs. But I'm an omnivore because I do eat meat and I do eat plant food. Well, that's not true, because even omnivores don't get heart disease. Carnivores and omnivores do not get heart disease. Only herbivores that eat like carnivores get heart disease. So that's why we're a country of herbivores who think or was taught that we were carnivores or omnivores. And so therefore we're eating according to what we think is right. But unfortunately, the results are bearing witness to the fact that we are not carnivores. We are not omnivores. We are indeed herbivores. And we have the characteristics of herbivores in nature. A horse is an herbivore, and the horse doesn't eat meat. Horse has a long intestines, which is indicative of our intestines. Carnivores have short intestines, which makes for a shorter transport of animal flesh through the system. Carnivores have more digestive acid in their stomachs. And that makes sense, because if they're eating animal flesh and they're killing their prey, then they need more acid in their stomach in order to help break down the protein. But think about that. They have more acid and they have a shorter digestive tract. Well, that means they're breaking it down quick and they're getting rid of it quick. So right. there's no time for it to build up. But take an herbivore, now we got this long gastrointestinal tract. If you hypothetically take it out and unravel it, you're looking at about a fourth of a football field. That's a long gastrointestinal tract under 98.6 degree temperature that meat has to travel through before it comes out your body. So wow. You wonder why the gas smells like it do, right? You wonder why you got the bloating and the belching and all that, because man, your gastrointestinal tract is going to war in there trying to break down that dense substance. And don't get me wrong, it will eliminate it, but it just takes so long to do. Sometimes it may take a day or two, or maybe a few days, depending on what you eat. And if you do this ongoing, now people are not having bowel movements for anywhere from 3 to 5 days.
Oh, that's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's normal to them. You know, they'll go 3 or 5 days and, you know, say, oh, okay, it's time for my bowel movement. We don't realize how bad that is to our health to not have a movement at least once a day.
Man, more than once a day.
We should have it once a day.
More than once a day.
You know, so that constipation, that's what's getting us. Because if your gastrointestinal tract is not clear, which is your main sewer system, you know, we eliminate waste in 3 forms: in a form of liquid, solid, and gas. So we eliminate waste in 3 forms, but the major channel of elimination is your gastrointestinal tract. That's where the solid stool has to go through. During that time, it's absorbing nutrients, absorbing water from the food.
Are they ready to break your water, Shay?
Huh?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I don't know if you read my post, and I'm just letting everybody know my youngest daughter is in labor right now. So I might
really
step away from the computer for a minute because I think they're about to break her water. So just go ahead, keep talking.
Oh, no. Hey, let us know. That's a big thing. I didn't know. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, you're going to have a lot to teach her. So, you know, make sure that she knows how to, because, you know, with my son, Aviel, you know, he was breastfed for 3 years. And that's something that I know is a challenge for women because, you know, that's just a long time to have some, you know, young child on your breast. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm telling you, it made a big difference because there's nutrients that you can't get from Similac and milk that you can get from mother's milk and mother's nurturing milk.
Yeah, she's got a 2-year-old and she's still kind of breastfeeding him. So she's been very successful. I know a lot of women have issues with breastfeeding, but I don't want to distract from the show because I've been promoting it. I know everybody is waiting to reverse heart disease. So just keep talking. I'm gonna step away from the computer for just a minute. You just keep going.
Okay. So let's go back to why warm-blooded creatures versus, because see, Xavier's initial question was, well, does that go along with fish? No, it doesn't per se. Fish has its own issues, but when it comes to how it's processed in your body, it's much better, much easier than the heavier animals, which are warm-blooded creatures. Because if we can't break their oils down as effectively, we can't break their proteins down as effectively, then yeah, it's going to clog up our system. And that is the direct connection to arteriosclerosis, which is heart disease. So knowing this, of course, one, you begin to understand how to reverse it. First and foremost, if you really do and truly want to reverse arteriosclerosis, if you don't want to deal with heart medication, if you don't want the threat of open heart surgery, bypass surgery, stent, if you don't want the threat of any of that, the first thing you have to do, and you know what I'm about to say, the first thing is that you're gonna have to stop the consumption of the substance that's clogging up your arteries. You have to stop the consumption, because you can't just eat a little bit here and there just because it's something that you love to eat or something that you're accustomed to eating, but it's really something you're addicted to. So it's not even something we really desire, because my son Aviel, he's a vegan. He doesn't eat meat. And the reason he doesn't eat meat is because we didn't impose it upon him, because we weren't eating meat at the time. And I'm still not eating meat. I'm not sure if his mom is still eating meat, but I know he's not. He defends his diet because we trained him in the way he should go, and he will not depart from that.
So do you eat seafood? Like I just really love salmon, and I need some salmon in my life.
Well, salmon is much better than beef, pork, or chicken. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people that are coming off the heavier meats that are actually switching to what they call pescatarian.
Right.
So being a pescatarian is a vegetarian that's getting his protein from fish sources, which is actually pretty good. You can live a long time as a pescatarian. You can do a lot. You still won't have to worry about medication, inflammation, any of that. Now, here's the key: when you're dealing with a lot of seafood, there's a lot of, you're going to be dealing with some heavy metals. So that's something you have to watch too, because if you're doing more fish, more seafood, then, you know, you may be looking at a little bit more mercury in the system. And then of course the heavy metals leads to different things like neurological issues, you know, it messes with your nerves and all that. But here's the thing: if you want to counter that, you have to cleanse and detoxify your body. And that's the key. If you're in a habit of cleaning and detoxifying your body on a regular basis, then you can bypass or override some of the complication issues that comes with eating fish or seafood. But it's hard to override or bypass the complications of beef, chicken, pork, turkey, because it's just a substance that the body is struggling to break down. And when you're young, you may be able to break it down a little bit better, but you also start the process of tapping into your own resources, meaning that now there are certain blood types like O that has a little bit more stomach acid than blood type A. So if you're blood type O, then you're not going to see the consequences as soon as someone who's blood type A eating the same food. But nonetheless, you will see the consequences at some point. So it doesn't matter what blood type you are. Animal protein is eventually going to begin to clog you up, and it's going to cause your heart to fail. But when you move away from the heavier, warm-blooded creatures and you start to engage more in fruits, vegetables, in plant-based protein, or also in fish or seafood, then you do begin the process of reversing it. Because the process of reversing it is to stop the consumption of the heavier animals that are actually causing it. That's the first thing. So when you stop the consumption, then now you have to start cleaning your system out, because remember, you are what you eat. So therefore, if you've been eating beef, chicken, pork, turkey all your life, then yeah, it's a part of it's in your DNA now. So now you have to clean out your system for years. And it took me from 2004 to 2010 to get all of the meat out of my system.
Wow.
I mean, I literally stopped in May of 2004. I stopped in May, came back from Israel, and I never ate any more meat after that. But it wasn't until 2010, you know, literally 6 years later, when I had what's called a healing crisis. A healing crisis when the last of the toxins stored in your body are now able to raise up and be eliminated out of your system. So detoxification is an ongoing process. Your body is always detoxing. So listen, once you make the transition from the warm-blooded creatures to the cold-blooded, so from the beef, pork, chicken, and turkey to the fish, once you make that transition and you stay there, then your body begins to remove all of the heavier animal protein out of your body. It starts removing it. And you start to fill your system up with more fish protein than heavier animal protein. But your body is detoxifying itself over the years that you're no longer eating it. And at some point, you start experiencing certain reactions. You don't know what they are, but it's your body going through what they call detox symptoms, which means that anytime you change your diet, anytime you transition from, let's say, a carnivore, herbivore diet to a vegetarian diet, then your body's going to start to remove the heavier protein substances out of your system. And then from a vegetarian diet to a vegan diet, now your body's going to start removing the dairy things out of your diet. Out of your body, which means that every time you transition to another diet, your body's going to constantly be detoxifying all the old substances out of your system. Well, when I shut down all meat, beef, pork, chicken, turkey, fish, everything with eyeballs, parents or children, I wasn't eating anymore. I wasn't eating anybody's children, no parents. And I would I stopped eating that. I realized that they got families too. Let them live their life. You know what I'm saying? um, and so once I stopped all of that, my body for over 6 years was gradually removing it. Now I didn't have any major symptoms in between that. Maybe my bowel movements were different. Things were changing. Even the odor changed. The odor of your breath changed. The odor of your gas change. Everything starts changing. Skin starts changing. Weight starts changing. Fat percentage starts changing, which is also an indication that the heavier animal proteins are damaging the body. Because when you come off of it, you start seeing all these changes. You're like, wow, now I'm able to get back into that dress, and I haven't done any working out. I just stopped eating a certain way. Mm-hmm. See, we think that we have to do something to lose weight. No, you don't have to do something. You have to stop doing something to lose weight. You see? So
let me ask you another question real quick. Mm-hmm. What about like the blood type diet? So my blood type, I'm not sure if I asked you this last time. My blood type is B positive. And according to what I've read, I need to eat some beef sometime.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying is that you said blood type. What's your blood type?
B positive.
Okay. So B positive. And I think we did talk about this because I think you found out that poultry was on the avoid list.
And I stopped eating it.
Right.
I have a pack of chicken in there now. It's just been sitting there.
And you know what? That's not a problem, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people of color, Black people that love chicken. And it turns out that they're blood type B. And what I'm finding out is that the years of consuming the poultry as a blood type B, I'm seeing the consequences on their scans. I'm seeing how close they are to heart disease, how much backup in their gastrointestinal tract that they're experiencing because their body was just not designed to break it down and move it through fast enough. So I'm seeing the consequences of it. And a lot of the medications that they're taking, even though they go to the hospital for these particular issues, they never correlated with the fact that they've been eating chicken most of their life, which goes against their blood type, which over time begins to weaken their immune system, which opens the door to all type of conditions that we're going to the wrong person to ask him to heal it or eradicate it. And that's not how he's taught. He's taught to treat it, but he's not designed to eradicate it, because he would have to understand everything that's going on with you, how you've been eating, how you've been living, what's going on with your family, job, relationship, because all of that stuff affects your health. But we would never have suspected that just because you was blood type A or blood type B, and there was a certain food that you should have been avoiding all your life, turns out you've been eating it all the time. Then every time you eat that poultry and your blood type B, your body identifies it as an enemy. So if your body identifies something as an enemy, it's going to activate your immune defenses, because that's what it's supposed to do. If there's a foreign invader or a virus, a bacteria in your body, it's going to activate your immune defenses. And what does that mean? That means now your army of immune cells have to go to work to protect you, in order to first destroy what's there, and then also to remember it so they can create antibodies to it. So this is just how the immune system works. So if you imagine now you're eating a certain food all the time because we just love it, this is how we grew up.
Yeah. How
weak at some point does the immune system get when every time you eat it, it always has to go to work. It always has to activate, and it has to expend a lot of energy, because, your immune system, when when you get sick and you get weak, it's your immune system harnessing as much energy as possible to work on fighting and battling the foreign invader. So that could be one of the reasons why, as we get older, we start losing our energy. We start getting fatigued and tired, outside of stress itself. But then we experience different situations stressful because of the lack of energy that we have, because our immune system has been fighting every day, all the time, against something that really is not that harmful to the body. It's just that because of your blood type chemistry, it's not compatible. So if it's not compatible, then the more you eat it, the gradually your body rejects it. And it just keeps on rejecting until finally, once you get, let's say 45 in your 40s, now you consume the food and you're seeing immediate reactions. Whereas before you didn't see the reaction. So what you're doing now is you're correlating the reactions you're having now with what you're eating. And you're thinking back to yourself, you're like, wait a minute, I've always been able to eat chicken. Why am I having a reaction to it now? Well, here's the thing. When you're younger, your immune system knocks out 95% of those harmful proteins that affects your body based on your blood type. 95% your immune system is protecting. As you get older, think about it for a second. What are you doing to the immune system by constantly activating it? You're gradually weakening it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like if you plotted a chart, the chart starts at the top and it, over time, it just starts drifting down and down and down and down until now you're not filtering out 95%. You might even not, you may even be filtering out anywhere from less than 65%, maybe less than 50. But that means now that the proteins are getting through. And when they get through, now they're getting to your system and now they're causing immediate reactions. And so that in and of itself is probably another show conversation to talk about blood types.
Yeah, we definitely should do that. You know, it's interesting that you were saying that because there have been times over the past maybe 5 years, just like kind of recently, since I entered into, my half a century decade.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But it's been in the last 5 years, there's been times when I've eaten chicken and like after a bite or two, I actually get nauseous. And it's the smell of the chicken, it's the sight of the chicken, it's just the whole chicken itself. I've just left it sitting on the plate. It's just for some reason my body, my mind, whatever, just kind of rejected that chicken. And it really only happens with chicken. I haven't really had it. I did have it happen with turkey once because it was the skin of the turkey that just disgusted me. I was just disgusted. And I wonder if that is that whole over time, because I've eaten a lot of chicken in my day because my mom made really great chicken and she cooked a lot of chicken often. So I've eaten a whole lot of chicken, especially for it to not be good for me based on my blood type. That's like a horrible thought.
Right. And that's the problem, is that most of us that find out, and we don't find out until later in life. I got people now that are taking blood tests. And I say this because out of 10 people, I would say maybe 2 out of 10 may know their blood type, which means that we've been eating in the dark for a long time. We've been eating based upon tradition, and we're seeing the consequences of eating like our parents. And we're getting the same conditions that our parents had. So we're passing down bad health instead of generational health. We should be passing down generational wealth as well as generational health. But unfortunately, we're not eating according to intelligence. We're eating according to tradition. Now we have to understand intelligently what's best for our bodies, because if animal protein is clogging up our arteries and causing us to develop heart disease, then we have to make the decision that we don't want heart disease. That's the first decision. Now, some people, it's hard for them to let go of the chicken because it's just been in their life for so long. It's a relationship. But let me tell you,
let go of anything that I feel is going to kill me, I will cut it off immediately. I don't have any problem with that.
I got it. You know what? And that's how it should be. But you've heard people say, hey, I can't let go of my meat, and I get it. It's just, I don't know. The only reason I was able to do it was because when I left the country, I actually was able to spend several weeks not eating it. So as I was spending these 2 weeks over in Israel, with all these vegans, this vegan village and this vegan community, it just gave me more motivation, more inspiration, and empowered me more to come back and make it my diet. So, but I know it's challenging for people, which is why when I started the detox program, it was to assist people in flushing out the animal protein out of their system so that they won't crave it anymore. Because if you are what you eat, then the protein is a part of you and it's been a part of you for a long time. And so you're going to crave it because it's a part of you. So when you start flushing and cleaning your system out, you're getting rid of the substance, which means you get rid of the desire to want to eat it. And you start craving nutritional things like raw fruit and vegetable juice, raw salads, vegan food, all the stuff that's now healthy to your system. And then you start investigating plant-based protein. And if we go now to the sports, there's one athlete that they're not really talking about his diet, but yet he's a phenomenal athlete because he's playing football in his 40s. And
who is that?
And that's Tom Brady.
Hmm.
Tom Brady is the quarterback that's actually has a plant-based diet. And you can look at him, you can look at his old pictures and his previous pictures. He looks younger now than he did in his younger pictures. Wow. But they don't talk about him being plant-based. But what they don't understand is that, well, how is he in his 40s still winning Super Bowls, not just playing football, but he's winning. So not only does the vegan plant-based diet show that the superior performance in athletics, but it also allows you to become victorious because now you're performing at a whole nother level that meat actually hinders you from getting to. That's why a lot of football players don't have a long career. They don't have a long career because they start degenerating much faster because of the meat consumption.
So I have another question for you. And this is a discussion that we were having. So, in January, I do my detox, the 30-day detox. And I have a whole group of like 55 people this year. I'm really excited. And I've had some really great testimonies. One lady said that, her doctor suggested she keep going on this particular diet because her blood pressure went down the first year when she went on the detox with us. And yeah, I've had all kind of different testimonies. So I'm really happy about my little detox group. But one of the things we got into, I think it was last week, we had this discussion because there's so many more meat alternatives out there now. Mm-hmm. And so when I first started doing this detox 6 years ago, there weren't many meat alternatives.
Right.
You were just going to eat fruits and vegetables and, your
right.
pastas, rice or whatever. You weren't really going to have anything that even felt similar to meat. Now right. Morningstar has great products and Gardein has great products. And you got Beyond and Impossible. You can even go, when I first started, you could not go to a fast food place and actually get a meat alternative. But now, Burger King, you can go get an Impossible Whopper and it's actually pretty good.
Right.
Exactly. that didn't happen before. And so one of the ladies in the detox group, she said, these are processed foods still. Mm-hmm. However, they are plant-based meat alternatives. So especially for my people who are doing the detox for the first time, I put those things out there, the ones that I found that are good, because it gives you that same bite, that same chew as meat.
Right.
And oftentimes that's really what the brain is seeking, is that something familiar, that bite and that chew. So right. What is your thoughts on these meat alternatives? Are they good or bad? Should I promote them in my detox group as an alternative? I mean, we still promote lots of other options, as far as just fruits and vegetables and, all the healthy stuff. But should that be an option or are they unhealthy?
Well, let me say this. They're a better choice than continuing to eat animal protein, because we know now that animal protein sends us to the hospital, sends us to the ER with heart attacks. And people, there are a lot of people out there that are either dealing with a heart transplant or dealing with bypass surgery because of their consumption of animal protein. So we're clear that animal protein is detrimental to our health. So if you want to begin moving away from it and you want to address the addiction gradually, then actually the plant-based processed stuff is actually better because it's a transitional food. It's not the end all. It's a transition from the animal protein to the plant protein. Ultimately, when I went to Israel, they knew how to prepare their own plant protein. So there is a natural way to prepare it from scratch. But until people really understand what plant protein is or understand what it's about, then yeah, try the alternatives out there. Try, the Bocas and the Gardines. But just remember that as you're starting to modify your diet, depending on if you're shooting for veganism, then there are certain plant-based protein products that you wouldn't be eating. Like some Morningstar has dairy in it. So when I go and, shop for certain plant-based protein, I may not get certain Morningstar. I may go to Gardein because Gardein doesn't have dairy in it, but it's like a plant-based burger. So if I want a burger, I just go and I'll go to Gardein and then I'll prepare just like I would a normal burger and eat it just like I would a normal burger, except
so
instead
you eat it as well. Okay.
Yeah, Gardein. And I think I had a couple of those sandwiches yesterday, but of course I bought them and made them myself. And then the cheese I put on it is actually vegan cheddar or vegan provolone, but
now,
it's vegan.
Is that cheese good? I mean, is it comparable to regular? I stopped eating cheese and drinking, cow's milk a long time ago when I read about the mucus and the pus and all of that kind of stuff. So, we do the almond milks and stuff like that, but I haven't found a replacement for cheese yet. So I just really don't eat cheese, or I'll eat it once or twice a year. Like my oldest daughter makes this baked macaroni and cheese that you got to eat it. It calls your name and then it'll slap you in the face and trip you if you try and walk past it.
Well, if you've been vegan a while, you try to find an alternative. And then once you've consumed that alternative for a certain period of time, you start to forget how cheese originally tastes. So you change your palate. You start to change your desire for what you want. It becomes more acquired now based upon your practice of eating it. So now when I have a burger, a vegan plant-based burger, and I put my vegan cheese on there, and I have my bread, which is multi-grain, no dairy, then now I'm eating a healthy vegan burger that's going to process better in my body. And see, that's the key. When we talk about what's good and what's bad, what's going to process better in your body? Is your body going to be able to break down that plant-based processed burger better than that animal-based burger? Yes, it's going to break it down and process it much better. In fact, you're going to expend less energy breaking down the plant-based than you do the actual animal-based burger, animal protein burger, because one, your body knows plants. It knows plant-based products. We are herbivores, so we consume plants. So therefore, we have the enzymes to break down plant food. Whereas carnivores, true carnivores, they don't have digestive enzymes for breaking down plant food. That's why they eat the herbivores. They eat the herbivores because the herbivores have the plant's protein. So that's why carnivores eat herbivores, because what do? If you notice, they don't go for the arms and the legs. They go straight for the gut, because what's in the gut? All the vitamins, all the minerals, all the enzymes, all the probiotics. They're trying to eat healthy, but because they're designed to eat meat.
So those alligators and stuff, they're a little disappointed when they eat a human. It's like, this is not
right. They like
have meat in here. What is
right? That? We processed.
That's funny.
So a true carnivore, he goes after the herbivore because he's going after his vitamins and minerals and enzymes that helps him to break down plant food. Because all protein, and you got to get this, all protein comes from plants. So when we eat animals, beef, chicken, pork, turkey, we're really getting our protein secondhand. All protein comes from plants. And let me say this, a banana has all of the 8 essential amino acids that the body really needs. Your body doesn't need a chicken breast. It doesn't need a porterhouse steak. It doesn't even need the plant-based burger. What it needs is the 8 essential amino acids which I'm gonna just for the sake of it, I'm gonna name these amino acids so you can understand what the body really needs. So the 8 essential amino acids are histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine. There's some funny names. Methionine, phenylalanine, thionine, tryptophan, and valine. When you get a chance, post these on there. But these are the 8 essential amino acids that the body needs from our diet in order to synthesize any protein that the body needs. So where's the energy expenditure for? It's to break down the substance and disassemble it so it can get to the amino acids. And so your body just needs the 8 essential amino acids from the protein. So a banana actually has all 8 of the essential amino acids that I just named. What does that mean? That means that banana is a complete protein. Now, I'm going to digest and break down that banana much faster, less energy expended than you are the animal-based protein. And so that's why you want to understand what is the body really asking for. Because if it's asking for the amino acids, then you can get that several ways. You can get that in a smoothie. You can get that in a shake. You can get that in a fruit, or you can put a combination of fruits together, because not all fruits have all 8, but some may have a combination of ones. But if you combine enough together, you will actually get the amino acids you need. So you don't need to eat meat to get protein. You need your body to break down the complete protein, whether it be a banana, whether it be a plant-based protein, whether it even be animal-based protein, but you're breaking it down to get to the amino acids. And that's what the body needs in order to recreate proteins, to repair, to develop whatever needs to be done in the body. It can use those amino acids.
Wow. I ate so many bananas back that one year. I talked to you about it when I had that high blood pressure reading that year, because I was completely stressed out. That was part of my issue. And then that neck thing. I ate so many bananas that year because I was eating like 3 a day until my body did not want any more bananas. I took a bite of a banana and again, I just kind of got nauseous like I did with that chicken that time. It was just man. No more bananas. But now that you said that, I'm going to at least add a banana a day back into my diet, because I don't need to eat 3 of them anymore.
Right.
I know it's almost time to wrap up, but I have a question that's a little off topic. Did you have anything else you want to say to wrap up the heart disease, reversing heart disease? I have a question really important when it's kind of off topic I want to touch on.
Okay, well, let me just conclude that, in order to reverse heart disease, you got to stop the consumption of the substance that's causing us to clog up. And then you also have to flush and detoxify your system so that you can start clearing it out, because the key to reversing heart disease is to flush the organs like the liver and the kidneys, because those are your filters. So if your filters are clogged up, which most people are, if the filters are clogged up, then that means that your blood is going to be polluted. If you want to reverse the condition, you have to clean your filters out. And once you clean the filters out, they go back to cleaning your blood and dissolving the plaque without any open heart surgery necessary.
Okay. Well,
so what's your off the wall question?
Okay, I want to thank you for that information, first of all, because I'm definitely going to go on a mission, because I've eaten so much animal protein. I got onto the chicken, turkey, fish thing, and I've done that for years. And then I threw a little beef in because my blood type said so. And so, yeah, I'm going to need to go ahead and go on that mission. But so my question, I have a really close friend of mine who has recently been diagnosed with COVID. And it's kind of got him down. He's not in a hospital or anything like that, but he's had the fever and chills for like a week. He's had dizziness and has passed out twice. There's the cough and the phlegm. And I just want to know what you would suggest for him, because the dizziness gets me. Well, and the fact that he's passed out, and then a fever and chills for a whole week. that's like a lot. He did go to the hospital. He got diagnosed. He's also holistic, so he's not really into the taking some medication or whatever. So I thought maybe I would ask you while I had
Right.
your genius on the phone with me.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, let me tell you this. I have helped people through the, coronavirus onset or attack or whatever you want to call it. And the way it needs to be done is you have to, one, keep the body hydrated. So you want to continue flushing the body with copious amount of water. I mean, just extra water, because one of the things that happened during, COVID is that fever. That fever is the body fighting the virus, because viruses can't live in a high temperature environment. So the fever is there is because it's trying to destroy the virus.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing the fever down, yeah, it's going to allow it to move around a little freely, but it also causes headaches. You know that when you got a fever, you can feel it because you got this throbbing headache, and it won't go away because you're hot. Well, when you flush yourself with water, it helps to allow you to sweat in order to break that fever. So if you're not drinking enough water, you're going to become dehydrated, because remember, our normal body temperature is 98.6 degrees. So when it starts to climb above that, then that's detrimental also to our organs and our tissue, because they're not used to being under that high temperature. So it's gonna affect your body. So you gotta hydrate extra to make sure that the body has enough water to make sure it keeps breaking that temperature at dangerous levels. The other thing that needs to be done is you have to juice. You have to stop eating the cooked food and all that, start juicing fruits and vegetables, and assist your body in helping to fight the virus itself. Because when you assist the body, then that means that now it's not going to take as long in your system, because you're not just doing anything. You're actually juicing your fruits and vegetables. And then also you're also taking supplements, and it should be powder supplements during that time. So your supplements should be going into your juice, and that's things like elderberry syrup. That's something you want to be taking. Vitamin C powder, and maybe you got a powder that has vitamin C and all of the necessary nutrients in there. Those powders are okay, because that's going to assist you. What you need most during the COVID is you definitely need to make sure that you're flooding your body with nutrition, flooding your body with water, and definitely getting the rest that you need. And that's really all you can do. You have to ride it out. You have to ride it out for at least a week and a half to 2 weeks, because that's how long it takes your body to develop antibodies.
Mm.
And that's the problem. People are not feeling well during that inflammatory response. That's the second line of defense. That's when you're inflamed and things are going on, because there's a cytokine storm happening, and that attacks the lungs. That's what's causing people to have respiratory issues and pass out. But it's the person's immune system that's doing all the damage, not the virus. And let me be clear, it's not the virus doing all the damage. It's the person's weakened immune system, because they was eating all these different foods that was incompatible with their blood type. You see?
Mm.
Now you see why everyone was struggling, because if you didn't know your blood type, then you didn't know which foods was gradually weakening your immune system. And when you weaken your immune system through hyperactivities, then when it comes time for it to work for you, it actually starts to turn on you. And so that's the reason why they was pushing hydrochloroquine and dexamethasone. President Trump at the time was pushing these, and he wasn't lying. These were immunosuppressant drugs. These were immunosuppressant drugs, which means that if you take these drugs, it will mitigate the immune system response to the virus. Well, that's what you need in order to survive this. You need the immune system shut down a little bit. But why would we shut down an immune system during a pandemic? That doesn't make sense, because it's the immune system that's causing the damage, not the virus. If it was the virus, then you would want a strong immune system and you wouldn't want to suppress the immune system. But if your immune system is the killer, then you need hydrochloroquine and you need dexamethasone to suppress your immune system so that you can make it through the 2 weeks until you get to the point where your body creates antibodies, and then it's over.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Our personality for our next segment of the show has joined the room. Eric, I could talk to you forever about health stuff. Great.
Well, thank you.
I'm planning this year to definitely come and get that scan.
There we go.
That's on my things to do in 22 list. So I'm definitely coming to get that scan. Last year, I had a complete blood thing done. And so that came back perfectly normal. Everybody was a little surprised because, you know, probably because of my age or whatever, but I don't take care of myself like you guys take care of yourselves. So it's different. That's a good.
Well, you're looking great. I've been seeing you in person in a while, but as soon as you come back to town, let's meet up, do the scan, and get you moving in the right direction. Pun intended.
Yeah, because I know that probably that whole eating meat and the heart and arteries and stuff, I'm afraid of that. But I do detox. But I've been eating meat for a long time. So, okay, Eric. Well, thank you. And when is your next show?
With you?
Of course.
Oh, the third week, which is third Thursday of February.
Which is?
Let me see. The third Thursday of February is.
Now, I keep telling y'all to know when your show is because I'm gonna ask.
I do. It's gonna be on the 18th of February.
All right.
That's
all right.
Third Thursday.
We'll see you on the 18th of February.
I'm sorry. Correction. It's on the 17th. So I'm gonna put that in my thing right now. I'm gonna set an alarm so that I make sure that I won't be tardy for this one.
And make sure that you send me your topic 2 days ahead of time.
I will. I will. Thank you.
One last thing. How can people get in touch with you if they want to set up a scan?
If they want to set up a scan, just call me direct at the 773-851-8756. That's 773-851-8756. That's 773-851-8756.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Eric Prince, for that information.